Ladies and gentlemen, I am JD from Halistax here with Drew and Horst from Aether Prologue. How you doing today, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we talk a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of segue into what's going on today. So, Horst, what's your story, man?
Let's see. I am the co-director and VFX Supervisor on Aether Prologue. I have been in the film industry for a little more than 20 years. Grew up here in Mobile. Started in Mobile. Met this guy in the mid-'90s on a film that shall remain nameless.
We don't talk about that one.
We don't talk about the 90s. It was a bad time.
I was doing subliminal.
Yeah.
I told him what it was. I just subliminally put it in. Someone's be like, I really want to see a Michael Madsen movie.
Let's see. Then my career has taken me around the world. I lived in New Zealand for about 10 years. Worked with Peter Jackson and a few other really cool people that I try to learn from doing VFX. I've been just about everywhere, been in just about every department in my film career, and now I'm here on this little green screen stage talking to you.
That's incredible. I'm enjoying your company. I don't know.
Thank you. Drew isn't.
I know. He's got the sour Drew face. So, Drew, what's your story, man? As you can tell, that's his Drew's story. It's right there.
She's done the rat face.
Just like the rat face, we don't do that on TV. It's like kind of like the truffle shuffle, a little bit different. I grew up around Mobile, much like Horst. My career has taken me around the city.
Country.
It's taking me around the city.
No, I grew up down here, did a lot of stuff, like film-wise. We met on a feature and kind of grew from there. And then I got into advertising and kind of went that realm and started doing commercials for a long time, and then kind of moved back into cinema, if you will. I'm a writer, so I always write stuff that I want to kind of create and see. Like wherever I see an absence for my own personal tastes, I try and go back and build that myself. Like we've done with Aether or Convergence, or I mean you were in Convergence, but any of that kind of product, I want to see movies I want to make. So that's kind of where I went off. The problem is I can't afford, or I don't have the intelligence, is what I should say, to do the VFX. So luckily I can call Horst and pull him in, and and we paired up with the early films were fun. Then we paired up with another producer named Scott Robinson. Good dude. He's right over there.
Staring creepily from the shadows.
He's like literally, we can't see anything but just a blue
blue phone.
He's on his phone.
He's actually tweeting this right now live.
Yeah. So anyway, we paired up with him to kind of create something different and put out movies that we all like, that have market value, but also are tease our own interest. That's what we're after.
So a thing that I'm really picking up on from both of you guys is that when you're speaking about what you do, it's always things that we like, things that we want to do, and that's not heard of a lot in the industry. It's where either the business takes you, where the money's at. So with that in mind, what is Aether, and is it one of those projects where you're like, this is something that we have to do?
Well, I'll start on the writing side and so I've been working on that project for cumulatively 10 years, right? The version that we're now at is much better than when it started. But I've always had an interest in alternate history, and that kind of led me to steampunk and kind of getting involved in that and playing around with it. Then I'd worked on a short called Lightning in the Bottle that was set in an alternate timeline where Tesla was still alive and things had changed. It was a really cool concept. Yeah. Unfortunately, bad luck happened. Things changed and we lost that project. So anyway, I've always had that aesthetic in the back of my mind. So then when Denny and I got together, we were working on a script completely different, set modern day, and I went to him with a pitch and I said, let me take your story and redraft it. And I took my ideas from Lightning and applied it to it, and then suddenly it just sparked an evolution. Awesome. Because he and I both miss, and then Horst as well, and pretty much everybody that's now on the creative team, we all miss that classic science fiction. And we say welcome back sci-fi, because I miss the Star Wars, I miss the Raiders, I miss caring about a character beyond what they've shoved down my throat. I miss original properties. Everything now is like a remake. I'm not slamming it, it's good for business, it's great, but I miss those really big ideas. And so that's what we kind of pushed after with Aether. So on the writing side, it built there, and we kind of let it, marinate, if you will, and turn into something bigger and better.
I think for me, it's that time when you sit down, that image comes up, and you just have this feeling like, I've never seen this before. This is amazing. Yeah. Just that sense of childhood joy that overcomes you when you see an image, and it just sucks you in right away. And it's this new world, and every single scene is something new and something cool. And you just want to set foot in that world, and you want to go run around and ride the ships and fight with the bad guys. And that's the sort of film that I miss. Because nowadays it's very derivative. You feel like you've seen it before, and as Drew said, you know, it's a comic book, or it was a TV show, or it was a cartoon, or it's a reboot, or a rehash, or a novel. And you know, finding those things that you can really feel like you're discovering in that moment when you're sitting in the theater, that's the kind of thing that I'm after, and I think Drew is too.
Absolutely.
It's pretty incredible to hear something like that, because I think our market is currently just, and I love those films, and I've been a comic book nerd my entire life. I grew up on Star Wars, all those things, but honestly, I'm burnt out on tights and capes, man.
Right.
You know?
I just was talking about it. I just literally, look, I am all for it. I love it. I'm a comic book kid too, and I love it. I'm happy to see those pieces coming out into the environment, but like, okay, it's so saturated now. It's kind of like, what do we do? What's next? And so, yeah, no, I'm totally with you.
It's exciting to hear too, and I'll tell you guys this. So, I mean, obviously, we've done a lot of talking off the grid, off the record about Aether, and one of the things that I think that people latch on to, because we were talking about it before, and we'll get into it in a little bit, is just how big this universe is.
Right.
You mentioned, Star Wars, and Star Wars is big because it's an entire universe. Like as you talked about Convergence and Suns and the other projects you guys have all worked on, those are slightly based in their own reality or a reality. When Aether is in its own reality, is there any type of pressure for you guys with that type of scale in the product that you're putting out there?
Yeah, it's tremendous. Are you kidding me? Like I freak out on the inside all the time. I mean, the craziest thing is that there's a community of people around Aether that are supporting it with as much love and much care and much concern as we are. And so, and maybe sometimes arguably more. I mean, and that alone is intimidating in some way, but it's also like reassuring that we're on the right track. And so it both when the intimidation happens based on knowing that we have a big world and big shoes to fill, we also know that these people are going to stand behind us. They like the idea. They contribute to the idea, because we're very open in some ways in that, like kind of, allowing people to be playing in our sandbox. So to me, it's intimidating, but again, it's reassuring for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously when you're trying to step up and you want to play baseball with Babe Ruth. I mean, because everybody here loves Star Wars. You talk about Star Wars, and just about everybody at least knows what it is.
Right.
And we're trying to get that back. That's a huge thing to say, and that is definitely something. When you start saying that to people, you better live up to it. You better put something out there that people are going to want to see and do and live and read comics and play with action figures, and that's really intimidating. But like Drew said, when you just start to give them little hints of the world, they catch on and they start filling in their own blanks. They start to build their own characters, and you see that little wheel start turning in their head, and that's the part that gets me going, because I remember that when I first saw a film that I started. Yeah.
Well, the easiest one for me is Boba Fett, right?
Boba Fett.
You go to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
There's a dude standing in the background.
Thank you for pointing this out. Yes.
Yeah, you have a guy standing in the background. I need him alive, or whatever. I can't remember the exact
his
line.
3 lines.
Yeah, right.
He's no good to me dead.
Yeah. Then suddenly he's like the most iconic to me. I use him as a reference all the time, because it we always want to make the Boba Fett. We want to make the Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like, Star Wars is great, but I would love to be, part of a universe where we have like 10 Boba Fetts. I guess then that's a principal cast and defeats the purpose, but you get the idea.
They'll die in a suitcase.
Yeah, exactly. No, he made it out in canon.
He crawled out.
In
Those
canon.
are legends because of the new...
Yeah, that's true. The canon's gone, which is heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, but I'm with you, though. I like the idea. We want a Boba Fett. That's awesome, man.
It's always about the Boba Fett. We'll make you the Boba Fett.
I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah, you'll have con appearances for the rest of your life.
That's right, man. You mentioned con, and
Yeah.
you guys are both talking a lot about the fan community grabbing hold of what little that you have talked about and let go of Aether. How are the cons so important to you guys, and why do you think that they're as important that they are?
Well, cons are for people that have a passion and a belief in it, in the product. And it doesn't matter if it's Star Trek, Star Wars, or you have smaller cons. You also see it with people that are also reenactors. It's a similar type of vibe. They find something that they believe in, something that they see something good in. We all live in a world. We all have taxes. It's tax time. We all have bills. And when we see a world that we see something that we like, and we see something where we want to exist in that world, we develop a passion for it, and that becomes our team. That becomes somebody we want to root for, and that's what the con kids do. That's what the people who do all the reenacting, all the cosplaying, they get attached to it. They find these characters. These characters become their friends. It becomes their family. It becomes their team. and they push it, and they push it passionately, and they share it with other people because they want to see other people enjoying this world that they enjoy, and that's why it's so important for us.
Well, it's an investment, right?
Yeah.
So like, to me, like I enjoy going to cons because I enjoy the experience of hanging out with like-minded people.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So suddenly, what if you have, so you go to a con and in general, you have like-minded audience. I can be myself, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to put on the show, wear the suit, unless it's for cosplay. I don't have to do anything but whatever, I can be me, right? But if you unify that, and let's say you have inside of that yet another group, and you're rallied around the same cause, like I'm a brown coat, like through and through, so I can identify with brown coats, yeah, hardcore. I keep doing the Nick Saban, by the way. I can't help it. I'm terrible. Flashing the lens.
You just got to give him a little bit of the eyes.
Yeah, it's every once in a while. It's like the nervous look at the lens. But yeah, so like so for me as a brown coat, I relate and I go to the cons and I talk to them. That's great. Now I have something in common with someone, and then we spend the rest of the day together, just hanging out and having a good time, talking some about Firefly, talking some about whatever else we're into. The great thing with Aether is that world. It kind of, and in the con side of it, that world like jumped on it and was ready for it, maybe because we didn't write it directly for them, but we wrote it with an audience in mind of saying we care about you, here's our product. So in my opinion, what's happened is we've seen like the steampunk community get behind it because they can each play different things. So like steampunk, is across the board. It's not all neo-Victorian. So we have Waveland in our world that is neo-Victorian. Yeah, Waveland. He's a Waveland guard. We have the neo-Victorian look in Waveland, and then we have kind of that, as they say, post-apoca-punk in the Specter, which is like the Weird West vibe. So you can have a gun strapped to your leg and
very
look.
much a Firefly-esque.
It is. It's very Firefly-esque. And then you have the Bruin, which is like straight post-apocalyptic. It's just our world doesn't take place. Aether doesn't take place on Earth. We never say where it is, but it doesn't take place necessarily on Earth. So we don't have like car tires and stuff strapped to it. Right. But you have the ability to build whatever you can. So in essence, you have 3 styles that are combined into one to let you play, but it all cohesively works in the space. So you go to a con, they totally get that. They're like, sweet, and they identify with it, because now you can look at someone and be like, oh, that dirty Bruin, if you're playing it up, right? If your character hates Bruins, then you can hate Bruins. Yeah. If your character is from Specter, you're torn. You should be in the middle if you want, if that's how you want to play it. So they can build a whole character around that whole piece and run with it. And again, kind of tying it even further, is that the story of Aether, the initial story, the feature version or television, whatever we do with it, but is a tiny little island, right, called Dios. And if you think of it as Ronnie James Dios, yeah, we always, yeah, terrible. Ronnie James Dios. Holy diver!
Went out too long.
There it is.
Yeah. It's a great song.
It is a brilliant song. Have you seen the video?
No.
Okay. It's amazing. There's like 35 seconds, 40 seconds of nothing but trees.
Yes, I love the song, but I'm like, I want it. It's like a minute of intro, and you're like, okay, I get it.
Whoa!
And then he walks so weird with a sword. It's amazing, like because he's a tiny dude. Anyway, so
I hear computers at home.
yeah, I hope so. So anyway, if you look at the world's in the film is very small that we're showing. We haven't even talked about the mainland, and so what we say it is, to me, is like it's World War II, it's Australia, New Zealand in World War II. They're somewhat isolated. There's something else going on, but they have their own internal problems to deal with. So when we look at it from the big world, we go to the mainland, I have no idea how big that's going to get. Because now we can explode an entire new character base, a war. I mean, heck, a war. I mean, it's
new characters, new people,
new ships,
new everything. One of the things that I think why people are really attaching to this is because we're fans, we're geeks. We love this stuff. And as we said from the beginning, we want to write films and make films that we want to see. And I think that comes through. When you have a film that is being made to make money and capitalize on popular trends, and you've got to have this many robots smashing each other and this many hot girls, bending over a car, it becomes a formula.
I don't really have an issue with hot girls.
Well, but when
I don't
you
even know what
count
you're
it
referencing.
No idea. Michael Bay. Michael Bay. No. Huh? So, but when it's a formula, I mean, you still go and you watch this stuff blow up, but people rarely have the sort of passion they do when you see something that's been lovingly crafted. And that's why Star Wars really hit it off, because you could tell this is something that Lucas really wanted to do from the beginning.
I'd argue they cosplay the universe, and the characters in the universe, but they cosplay the universe as much as they do anything else. Whereas Transformers, it seems like people just cosplay the
Optimus Prime.
Right. They just do the base characters.
Yeah. You actually, I think, I really want to jump into the passion side of it. I think you're dead on when you're like Star Wars. I see more troopers. I see more Sith assassin Jeff Bill, guy than I do, Luke's and Leia's and Han's.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys are still there.
But they're usually stylized Luke's like steampunk Boba Fett.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is an awesome dude, by the way.
Really cool.
Oh, he's one of the greatest human beings. If you ever have a chance to meet with him, hang out with him, big helmet fan, great guy.
I will definitely have
Shameless
to do that,
plug
man.
for John.
Did you hear that? Shameless plug for you, buddy.
John.
John. Right. Yeah. Okay, John. Passion. I consider myself a passionate guy. Everything I do, I try and do with, if I'm not doing it with passion, there's no reason for me to be involved in it, period, right? And the underlying thing that I've heard from the first question, from knowing you guys on Convergence to here now, is the passion that you're pouring into this project. Do you think that that's going to help get it to where it needs to be? Do you think that, because people are gravitated towards that, right? So do you think by having the passion inside of this project, it will catch even further than it already has?
Yeah, I hope so. To me, it's always been the same thing. The funny thing is we cosplay our own movie. I don't know if that's weird or not.
No, it's great.
But that's what we love it so much. We want to dress up and be in part of our same world. And I hope that people see that we're creating a universe, or we created a universe to play in, that we just want to have fun in, that we want people to be part of. So I'm hoping that the passion build of caring about the quality of the product and putting it forward comes through. Now, that said, there's always challenges. We can't make Aether off a Kickstarter, for example. So we haven't even bothered to ask people for money, right? There's just, it's too big.
It makes sense.
And I want to do it justice, and I think they do too. And I'm not saying that you can't make a cool product off a Kickstarter, but doing the film, the level that we want to push it and get to that space, we can't bring it to that. So the passion is there to drive, or at least give them access to as much information as we can to let them grow and build and put it out there. If they love it, great. If they don't like it, give us feedback and we'll talk about it. A lot of times it's reasons we have for business, but we still have to monitor those pieces. But I think the passion will be what comes through in every frame, because that's kind of how he and I operate. There's very little tension ever between us, because we both know that if we are being tense with one another, it's a passion argument, not an ego argument. We kind of put all that stuff aside.
One of my favorite memories ever, and it's a recent one, is when Drew and I were scouting for Aether Prologue, and we had one location picked out, and we were setting shots and everything, and then sort of on a whim we decided to stop at a fort that was across the bay. We're passing by this fort. Let's take a look.
You should plug
No, Fort Gaines. So Fort Gaines, Dolphin Island. Go visit it.
Yeah, you can visit the set. It's amazing.
We were
History
across.
was made, and we'll keep going.
Yeah, we were across the bay at Fort Morgan originally, and on a whim we stopped there. And we walked in, and immediately it was like kids again. It's like when you're a kid and you're running around and you're shooting over here, and you're playing guns over here, and it'd be really cool if we did this, and if you came down this step, and we played, and I missed playing. I've missed that, and that it's so fun and it's so good for your soul, and it's just so good for just being a complete human being, and I think that comes through. And that sort of thing is what people will read into. For passion, I've left everything. I said, forget it. I moved across the world. I left a job. I moved back in with my mom. I'm almost 40, and I moved back in with my mom.
That's passion.
To see this project.
Goosebumps. Not about the mom situation.
Whoa! Hey ho!
She is single.
Hey.
But you have to pass. She gives me a hard time. The exact quote.
I love Drew, but he has tiny little hands.
How German?
Yeah.
Little squirrel hands.
Yeah.
I have little squirrel hands.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a tinkerer, man. I'm like, I can get down there and just make things happen with tinkering.
Don't
take that out of context.
Whoa, down there. Huh?
Yeah. Hey, you took it. You guys are perverts.
Hey.
I was talking about
Easy
watches.
Now. Easy now.
Talking about gears and watches.
With your tiny squirrel hands.
My tiny squirrel hands. I feel like people's picture of me, right?
Yeah.
It's going to change to that lady from SNL. No, but you might as well cut away to that. Just cut away to her.
Cut away to just a picture of Drew.
We should get little Barbie hands and have them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is my good hand. I want to mash potatoes.
Yes, exactly.
I left everything to move here and make it happen. I'm moving my girlfriend over to,
from you should say from New Zealand.
From New Zealand. Sorry, so I've moved from New Zealand. We're moving here, and we're I'm doing it. It has to happen. I've done that thing where you're facing a bull that's charging you and your back is against a ledge and you've got to beat that bull or fall off the cliff, and that's
The only,
what I'm gonna do.
I think the most, now that you're saying that, the scariest thing about Aether, in all honesty for me, is that, and this is only personal, is that I've put so much energy, effort, and time into it that if something doesn't happen with it, the recovery process is a whole different beast.
There's not enough therapy in the world.
I really don't know, I wouldn't say I'd quit, but I don't know what I would do. Like, I'd be so devastated.
I think we'd be good Waffle House, though.
I mean, I'd
That
be
would be
somewhere.
your Waffle House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would tell sci-fi stories the entire time, and just rename the menu to all kinds of
Scattered
great.
toilet
We'd make
covered
Boba Fett
Boba Fett
eggs.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
It's just, I mean, I'm honestly taken aback, because I've known you guys personally for a while. We've sit down and have a couple conversations here and there, but to actually hear how much heart you have into this project is just, it's awe-inspiring, and I'm not trying to kiss ass or pucker up or whatever, but it really is. Like I think, like you mentioned earlier, like with the Transformers films, with a lot of the modern culture that's happening, is people just lose heart and they lose passion, and it just becomes a saturated thing, this overhyped product that gets pushed out on people, as where Aether Prologue or Aether in general is just a from the heart story. And I think that we miss that, especially I do. Like, I'm so tired of the reboots and the, I think it's, and this is getting way off topic, but the fact that there's actually, I talked about your hands.
Yeah,
but it's, I mean, there's a new category at the Oscar, which is like, and it's like the original rewrite of a reboot, award, and I'm like, how is that even a thing? Now, granted, some of those films have been really good, but to hear y'all's passion and excitement and heart that you're pouring into this project is just fascinating. It's exciting.
Some of it's weird stuff though, like just a sidebar on it, like Whiplash, for example, it was listed as a adaptation, but it's an original story. It's just that they made a short film first to help get money and so the Academy says that you can't, I'm 90% certain on that story, verify, but yeah, so I think they got pushed over into adaptation, even though it was original content, just because that's the way the system works. And the system's cool. The system's put out a lot of good product. We wouldn't have a ton of, we wouldn't have Raiders. We wouldn't have Spielberg, wouldn't have Lucas. I just watched Whiplash in my head. I have J.K. Simmons screaming at me right now.
I just want to say right now, out there somewhere, Ronnie James Dio is swinging his sword on about 200. How many viewers do you have?
We have enough to where there's somebody out there going,
swinging a sword.
I promise, they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's not Dio, it's Dio.
Nice.
I love that. That's the greatest cutaway. I'm using that. I'm just going to steal that and just post it on people's things. Just randomly cutting to you, us sitting here smiling, and you going off on, it's Dio, not Dio.
You guys are wrong.
You're all
Dude,
wrong.
what happens, we did something for like GoldenEye, and somebody literally tweeted us and then talked to us on Facebook and then met me in person at Pensacon. I just want to make sure you guys knew that you were wrong about that one thing 6 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
God, GoldenEye is my favorite Bond.
It's so good.
Yeah. Are you talking about the game, or were you talking about?
Let's do both.
Yeah. So the game is like the one that is.
I do like Pierce. Is what I met Bond with Pierce. That was where because I just was doing other things, but that was my
Yeah, you're a wee bit younger. I was a Roger Moore kid. Like Connery was before my time.
About Roger Moore anymore.
Yeah, the guys my age will be like Roger Moore and Sean Connery are the best.
Again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Moar.
But it's Moar. I'm more of a fan of GoldenEye just because you had Bond versus another Bond.
That was great.
Right?
Yeah, Trevelyan. Oh yeah.
And it's Sean Bean, and you can't go wrong with Sean Bean.
Did he die or make it?
Oh,
He
of
always
course.
dies. When does he not die?
If he's in a movie, you're like, damn it.
Yeah. Wait, did he? I haven't seen Jupiter Ascending. Does he make it through that one?
I don't know. We don't need to do spoilers. I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it yet?
No.
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 Scott?
Has
We're
any-
going.
Scott? No, Scott's gone.
We're
Has
going to
anybody
assume.
seen
We're going to
We're gonna
assume.
assume he's dead.
Sean Bean dies in the first 5 minutes. So for Aether, we have Sean. I'm just kidding.
Guys, you've got a lot of projects under your belt, and obviously through life we pick up things that make us better. What do you feel that you've taken from your past work that has and helped put into Aether to make it a better film?
For me, it's listening. Right? It's sometimes as a filmmaker, you can get pretty arrogant into your own world. You can get stuck in your own space. And for me, it was more a matter of listening to the audience and listening to feedback. That's why I love it. I make movies for me of stories I want to tell, but they're not very effective if no one sees them. Right? So to me, I learned to listen more outside of the creative team, but like listen to outsiders and get feedback and get notes. Be open to consideration.
A similar note for me is just being open and ready to find something better than what you thought. Because often you're there and you're on set and you've got this image in your head and this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is. And like you said, somebody comes up and either they say it or somebody else says it or you're stuck or something. And this thing you've never thought of. And they just say, hey, wouldn't it be great if they had a pink banana? And you're like, pink banana? Oh my God, that makes them. And it's such a collaborative process.
Right.
It is, and especially when you're building such a big world like this. That just being open to those little tiny, beautiful little, accidents that make it that much better. I think that's a lesson that I've learned over time that really suits me.
And listening to the actors, and I say that because you're an actor, but I mean, 90% of the time, the actor has a better sense of character than the director. That's my approach.
That's their job.
Right. They're
Let
going to
them do
know
their
that
job.
you should know the character better than I do. What I should know is to give you the reference to play off of, right? And so that's one of the big ones. And collaboration-wise with actors, it's the same way on Aether when we were shooting the prologue. I mean, you were there, so we decided to do it different. We decided to treat everyone completely equal. I hate the word extras. I can't stand it. So we called everyone performers because they were, and we got a beautiful piece of performance out of everyone because across the board, when those guys interact with you, right, as an actor, you need that space. They need to be as on point as you are, because otherwise if you have a scenario where someone's not paying attention, they miss the mark, it's gonna pull you out and suddenly you have to reconfigure. Like, maybe not all actors, but I'm not saying even you do that, I'm just saying in general. But it was amazing on Aether that, again, listening to what they said, we'd go talk to them, they'd give us notes. A lot of those notes made it. They were good ideas. I'd rather have that and have that, scenario than not.
I do remember that speech when you came in there, and we've worked together before. I've done some other projects myself, but to hear you refer to what normally in the industry is cattle as, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term, but that's just the connotation that extra has, and it's upsetting because these are people too,
right?
And I know a lot of them personally who bust ass on camera.
Oh yeah, big time.
And to hear you acknowledge them as performers was huge, man. It was crazy. I was in that room, and it was like a wave of like, oh, this guy, he gets it. He gets, that we can contribute to it, man. And I remember being on set and watching, because I'm an observer when I'm on set, just because I want to. It's just how I help get my own little thing. But I would watch these people, and they would kill it. Like every scene, every action.
Oh, the cheering gag, like towards the end, is insane. Like people are like, my voice is still gone from that. I'm like, well, thank you for donating your voice because it's amazing.
Best extras ever.
Yeah,
seriously.
it blew me away,
Best
man.
performers ever.
Best performers ever.
Yeah,
That's why they were better.
It was so crazy because, like you said, I mean, it was just these people. They just 100% committed. As soon as you said you guys are performers, and they were like, hey man, we're there for you, buddy, and you got an incredible product out of it.
Well, that's the whole thing though. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we all are, right? I mean, I'm asking for people to risk in believing in an idea that has not been done, hasn't been seen. The story is the story, right? It's a time-old tale, right? But the world that we're building isn't. It's new and it's unique and it's something different. So if I'm asking you to take a risk in that, I'm going to give you the same level of risk. We're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right? I have to talk to 200 people. You guys have to, or those guys in that scenario had to talk to 10 or whatever the case may be for interactions. But it's the same thing. It's just scaling it up slightly in different spots.
So a big part of how you've been getting the word out, we talked earlier, is cons, right? PensaCon just wrapped, and you guys gave me the pleasure of representing Aether there. Thank you for that opportunity. How are you using PensaCon and these cons to get the word out? Now, I know we've talked off the record about it, but I'd like to get some,
sure.
insider info, if you will.
Well, with PensaCon, for example, I was thrilled. I wish I would have been further along so I could have given them a little more exclusivity. They're our local con, them and Moby. But I would have loved to have given them more. I just wasn't in a spot to do it. So I was happy to put you in.
It worked.
An outfit and send you off to soldier up and spread the word. But one of the tricks with all of those cons, it doesn't matter if it's a steampunk-driven con or not, because I mean, heck, there's a comic book. Here's some info exclusive. There's a comic book coming out for Aether that is pretty cool. And if we get the bigger run, if we get the bigger run, it'll be 12 issues. So each issue will be basically the months counting down before the events of the movie. So it's complete synergy. So like you have a backstory. If you read the comic and watch the movie, you're going to enjoy it a lot more than if you just watch it. You'll love the movie.
God, that's that guy.
But you'll know things. And there's characters we're going to put in the comics that will show up in the movie that may be smaller on the screen in terms of screen time. But anyway, so that's one of the things we wanted to do. And so like with the con strategy, that is part of it, is being able to go and get ideas and throw it out there and kind of put it towards them. And again, something like Pensacon is nice because it's such a broad I mean, you can go for everything, right? They have anime, they have all the way down to, you know, comic book driven, to steampunk driven, Doctor Who stuff, and everything's there. Yeah. And, you know, for us, we love being among the greats. Those are all great properties and concepts and ideas. So if we're lucky enough to be part of that package, then that's even a stronger presentation for us.
Yeah, I mean, with the cons, people love to play in the world. Like you said, a lot of times you'll see the main characters, but you'll see the people, you know, Stormtrooper number 5576, who has, you know, the guy built the entire backstory for the guy. And as Drew said, what we can do when we go to the cons is start to get this world going, start to see how people like to exist in this world. And that way, you know, you have something that feels more natural, feels like you can just step into it when you put it on screen. And that's really important. You know, you want people to look at it and it just feels natural to them. And the people who go to the cons, when we go there, that's what they do. They do it all the time, is they help generate this world. So I think that's really important for our creative process.
No, it's huge. That's what I was about to say, is that at the end of the day, we're still making a movie for an audience. If I just wanted to make it for me and me alone, I could do that and save myself a ton of money, hassle, and heartache. You know, struggling with right, exactly. I could do that, but I still want an audience because it's the interaction when you are working with them, right, and in a way for them, is a much different experience than when you're just telling them, oh, you're going to like this. You're going to like this because we have $30 million of marketing money. Right. No, I want them to like it because grassroots, they were there, they know, they can claim it. You know, we're trying to figure out a gimmick at some point. I don't know how and I don't know what it'll be, but I'd love to have a gimmick for all the early adopters. Somewhere, if Aether goes where we all want it to go, these guys that have committed to putting, I will reward it, Horst will reward, we will find a way, even if we have to throw our own con and call it like Aether Prologue Con or whatever. I have
you heard it, started here.
I don't care what we have to do. If we do something because they deserve to be rewarded for their hard work, because it is, there's a young lady that took Aether completely, like just took it and ran with it, and we met her at a con. I met her at Wild Wild West Con, which is amazing.
It sounds fun as hell.
No, it's insane. Like Pentacon's great because it's got the feel and it's a big vibe. Wild Wild West Con is centralized. You're walking through a cowboy town. It's insane. The people there are, it's insane. I had a gun strapped to my leg. I'm just walking around like a little more badass than I've ever felt in my life. Right? And then there's tourists coming along because they keep it open because it's kind of like this. And they're like, oh, can we get a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah. And so I'm suddenly creating a character. Yep. I'm always like stoic in my images and looking all.
Dude, that's so cool.
Oh, it's amazing. So if we could find a way of building some kind of idea to put a con piece out there and reward the hard work, Moira, that's her character name. Anyway, she took it to South by Southwest and then got us into a ton of other cons because she just cares about it.
It's nuts,
so,
man.
I mean, I have to give her a shout out because like she needs to be rewarded. I don't have the money. I don't have financial means to do it, right? Because we put everything, literally, I've put everything I own into Aether. Everything I own.
Wasn't it? I think we were on set. We were filming where the Waveland are eating, and you're like, "Are those my living room drapes?"
They were my drapes are
somebody's dress or something.
Yeah, my curtains in the living room became half dress, half background piece, like you know, the set a set.
So he literally means house and home. Everything is in.
It's all in. I mean, it's 100% all in.
That's all. I'm fascinated by the guerrilla marketing, and what's neat is as we were on set, you guys were like, "There's no." I don't know the technical term, but there was no banner or
no, we said embargo.
No embargo. Yeah, that's a good word for it. There was no embargo on social media while on set or pictures. You guys wanted everything out there, and that is important because it creates a sense of ownership, right? It makes someone, like you said earlier, you know, it levels the playing field, which I think has been exponential for the growth and the attention to Aether. If you look, you guys went from 800 likes on set to now you're approaching 3,000 likes on set, and it's
all organic,
and it continues to grow. Like that's one thing that fascinates me is you've released so little, but yet people are just gravitating toward it because they sense the passion, they sense the community, the heart that you guys have poured into it, which again says a lot about you guys.
Right.
Now, with you two, obviously there has to be some sense of accountability between you guys. Like if Drew has a crazy idea, Horst, you got to be there. Horst, and it's vice versa. So what's that relationship like when you're working together in the trenches?
There's no alpha dog kind of scenario. At least I don't. I'm better than him, so there's no real alpha dog. No?
None whatsoever,
No.
because he thinks he's better, and I let him think that. So that's.
Pull the strings! Pull the strings! Get someone
going behind
yes,
his
put some
buffalo.
buffalo. Someone superimpose some buffalo.
I feel your mind power is working.
It's an interesting one. I mean, we've been away from each other for a while. Sorry, Drew.
That's okay.
I feel like I'm watching a reconnection on the Love Show. It's a love
I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. Wait, is that how it goes? Our lives to be over? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so, because
pretty
it's talking
depressing.
about like
Horrible.
it doesn't want to wait for,
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was just about Dawson.
He's got the bad cry face, dude. Like most people don't have a good cry face. His is rough.
I got called. I was on a date once. A sidebar. Come back to you.
That's fine.
This is how we direct.
This is how everything goes.
This is all relevant.
And it's how it stacks.
We
You
do
guys should be used to this
We
shit, man.
sidebar a
We
lot.
actually do say
This is
sidebar
complete
when we
sidebar. I was on a date once, and the girl was like, "Oh, you want to be a filmmaker like Dawson?" Face palm.
Yeah.
My face is probably red with a slap print. Yeah, you do. Yeah, it was a little harder than I meant it to be.
Yeah, it sounded painful.
It's
I'm
okay.
a little
At least you didn't get
wrestling hit.
sunburned like I did. I'm sitting here like sweating. I'm like, God, it's so hot. And I'm like all pink and lobster red. You had a story to tell.
I don't even remember. No, how do we work? I don't. It's,
Well, we split up into separate units on
do that a
Aether,
lot.
and it's because we communicate from the beginning. We
Yeah.
have like storyboards and shot
Yeah.
lists, and we do all that stuff. But then it's always storyboards for me are only for technical and VFX, because I think the actor needs, if I get so committed to that vision, and we agreed on that, and it was like Horst was shooting the tunnel sequence
Yes.
while I was shooting the Waveland food sequence, and we were split unit and running that way because I mean I trust him. The biggest thing I think the way our model works is I trust him and he trusts me.
Yeah, and we play. You know, we'll sit there and we'll play out ideas, and there's never a we have to do this. It's like, hey, imagine this, this, and this, and then he'll say, oh, you know what, that'd be cool if we did that, and then added this, and you know, and we can just totally spitball totally random ideas. Like, you know, we'll have a character in a film, and the whole time we've been developing the film for 2 years or whatever, that character has been a guy, and then on a whim we'll be like, what if it's a woman? And he's like, yeah, and then we could do this, and that would twist this around.
It's the Ripley story from Alien.
It is
Exactly.
totally.
Yeah.
It's
And-
100%.
And that's sort of that's how we create, that's how we play, that's how we direct. You know, it's just two friends, two collaborators who talk, who spitball ideas, and not afraid to say, you know, that's a stupid idea. It should not be a clown.
Should
No
not be a
clowns.
clown.
And then we learn. Like, you know, can I talk about the bad angle?
Sure.
Okay, so we learn. I was letting, early on in the shoot, I was letting Horst direct a sequence, and I was sitting on the sideline just observing, because I'm giving him, it was an easy day, but I was giving him time to do that, and I was talking to other people about other shots and dealing with stuff. And I looked over, and I happened to notice that it looked like the angle was off a little bit. And so I pulled Horst over, and I was like, hey, I think the angle's off. And he said, you know, okay, and he goes back over, and he talks to him, and he's told, you know, no, this is correct. And I sat there, and I knew how to get out of it. But it was a moment, and this sounds really cocky, it's not meant to be, it's just, he gets to afford a luxury I didn't have. I got stuck where I couldn't cut around it in the past, and I had to cut a sequence from a movie. He was in a spot, I came back to him in post, and I was like, hey, this is why you might want to consider it. I wasn't worried about it because I found the other angle, and you did a great job putting the pieces, because he did, he had all the other coverage, but one angle couldn't be used because it was on the wrong side of what we call the line, right? But it was a learning opportunity moment, and then vice versa, we had a techno crane. Like the big ass crane on set, and we were doing all these cool shots. That's not my idea. That has to go to him. He came in and said, dude, I think you need a techno. Here's what because I always thought techno crane, oh, we're just gonna do all these crazy boom shots. I don't know why people are gonna laugh at tiny hands doing this. But the boom shots and all this stuff, and Horst's like, no, dude, you don't think of it like this. And he shows me, and physically I understood what he was trying to, and then like, it's one of those things, like it's a give and take all the time of learning off of each other.
We have, you know, different set of experiences. We've done different things, and when we bring them together, it helps the picture. It helps everything.
I think what I find fascinating about the dynamic here, and there's a term that we learned about, you know, in an interview that I did previously. I'm going to try and censor it down, but it's you're bearing your all to one another, right? Like it's very much, I think, what makes the dynamic work, and it sounds like it's working quite well for you guys. Is it's you bare your soul to one another, right? This is what I'm doing, Horst. This is what I'm doing, Drew. And there's that level of acceptance and that level of they're just not going to laugh at me. They're going to take this and give me feedback. And I think it's big and important because in the professional industry, if you can't take feedback, you will not get better. you know, and for friends to be able to do that and maintain the tight knit friendship and grow as, you know, creators. I mean, it's.
Well, we've personally been through a lot of stuff together. I mean, best friend. He's family. I don't have a brother and sister. I'm an only child, so he is like a couple other guys, like adopted family for me. You know, unfortunately, we look similar, and sometimes my daughter calls him Dad. She'll see Horst and think it's me. And he's like, no.
What about like Halloween last year? It was a final day of convergence. You guys dressed up like it was the exact same thing.
And my name is Horst, and his.
Yeah, I was like, and what's funny is I just met you guys, so I was like, who the fuck is I talking to? I don't know which one do I need to say something. I don't know which one's.
But it's because there's a kinship that I mean, literally, as corny as it sounds, I love him like family, and you know, I have a business with him. I know that if something were to ever happen to me, you know, on that level, he would take care of me, and or my family rather. He'd probably just throw my body off a cliff, but whatever. He'd be like Big Lebowski.
No, it would be in a film, and it would be amazing.
Absolutely.
You would be
if
the
you'll
best
blow me
stunt
up,
corpse
yeah,
ever.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would totally take that.
Weekend
it's
at
on
Bernie's.
camera right now. It's illegal. I'm giving. I Drew Hall by sound, mind, and fit kind of body.
Yep. Kind of body.
Give Horst Sarubin and Jonathan Depew permission to explode my dead corpse. Dead corpse.
Dead? What if it's like we
in
would
a motion
pull the plug?
picture?
You know, what if we're at the point where they're like, well, you know, we should pull the plug. Can we do it then, or do we have to wait
Well,
for you
that
to
still
die?
goes to Sarah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But if I'm
she
dead,
says,
yeah,
that's
we
how
can
we
get
pull
her-
the
we can get
plug.
her
With,
up.
like
if,
death cord.
if she says that, that's
we
fine.
just wrap you
You
in
can
death
literally.
cord and.
I'm all in.
All right, good.
As long as it
Very
goes viral.
morbid. I'm digging it, whole thing. We could just use your face in that scenario for the sleep shots of people. Like, oh, they're sleeping. Look at his eyes. He's asleep.
That's brilliant.
I think, for me, I'm not afraid to be wrong around Drew.
That's important.
You know, I'm not afraid to be wrong, because we're humans and we're always going to be wrong. And I trust him to let me know when I'm screwing up, and also trust him to listen to me when I'm, you know, passionate about a particular choice. When I really feel we need to go down a particular road, he will listen to me. Sometimes he won't agree with me, but he'll listen to me. And I think that's key for me.
That's true.
It's comforting to hear that there's not and I'm going to name it officially, the Axl Rose complex. You know, because I mean, obviously, I mean, that was amazing, by the way. You missed his little Axl Rose dance. It was brilliant. But that's like the alpha male, the ego type can destroy so many things. And what's neat is, you guys have worked together a while now, and you're able to work through whatever differences have come and put together a project like Aether. Now, I mean, where are we at?
We're partnered with a group who helped us on the film called Airship Isabella. Really cool looking gear.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
No, they're amazing. And they're probably some of the best people I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
They're great.
Like I can say,
human beings.
Yeah, they fill my heart with love. Literally talking about them, I get excited. They're just wonderful human beings. And I spent time with them at Wild West Con, and my dad, unfortunately during the time, had a heart attack, and those people they would do anything to help me get through that. It was amazing. Anyway, so they have that. They're going to show it wherever they want, wherever we decide is best. And we'll kind of put it out there and let it be. But it's solid, it's tight, it's a really, really, really fun short right now to help say, hey guys, this is what we're trying to do. If you like it here, you'll like it even more when you see it on the big screen or episodic. I mean, we'd love to make a TV show.
It would be great as a show.
And then we really want, the only thing that we may run into, again, and speaking slightly out of turn, so I apologize, but we may look at doing a web series to complement it. So I'm not going to tell you the story of Aether, of the film. What I'm going to do is take maybe a guard, maybe take a guard and tell a story that evolves around a Waveland guard set in a world that's down on Dios or you know, in the town of Specter or that area. And we may do something like that where that would be the only time we would ask for Kickstarter money or the comic book if we needed it. But it'd be subsidiary properties or ideas that we want to see if people will fund. But yeah, we want to build I think there's a huge world and it's fun. Let's play in it.
It's again, and we keep going back to just the size of what you've created. And I don't mean to interrupt you. Yeah.
No, it's fine.
But it's I mean, there's so many angles that you could go through from like all of that because it is such a massive thing.
No, it's one of the reasons we're doing this is to create a world for people to play in.
Right.
And
including ourselves.
Yeah.
I would love to see you guys running around in that world.
Oh, you don't even know the chaos that ensues.
Oh, it's hilarious. Chasing each other down hallways of Fort Gaines. It was.
Yeah, it's silly.
Do you guys have Nerf wars here?
Yeah, we do. I have
Okay. I had to ask. I felt that was
Yeah.
important.
I took the gun though and repoed it for a steampunk gun. I needed just a prop in the background. See, I told you I gave everything I had. My
You
great
did. Nerf guns.
It was a very concealable,
drapes.
so I have my Nerf concealable carry license, so that you
Nice.
can't tell if I'm packing foam.
Back and foam.
Back and foam. Ooh, I like that. Back and foam. Guys, there's so much to talk about with this project. What you were able to accomplish in 3 days, how did that process? Like, because, I mean, I was there. I mean, what was that like? Just having to get that scale done in 3 days.
Yeah, it was intense, actually.
It's really intense. I was worn out at the end of it. So the trick was in having a really good creative team. So, you know, what we did, because there's not name, A-list, or whatever you want to refer it to, cast in Aether Prologue for actor-wise. We have very talented actors across the board, but they're not necessarily huge names yet, right? So what we did, though, is we went back and found the creative team has pedigree that's insane. So like Robin Matthews has an Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club, and she's a makeup artist, and you can completely see her detail in everything. that she did.
Beautiful makeup.
Right?
It's amazing.
She's insanely
Really, really
brilliant.
well
Then we had, for production designer, we have a guy named David L. Snyder, and David has an Academy Award nomination for Blade Runner in art direction.
Nerd.
He also did Soldier, Demolition Man, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I like the train, then Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah. Well, it's still stylized. It's good stuff. He's got all these great pieces. We had Kim Bailey, who
Kim is amazing.
The more you talk to Kim, the more you're like, well, I want to interview him.
Yeah.
He is the guy who designed the Stargate.
He designed the Stargate and the symbols on it.
Yep, and the symbols. He designed the Stargate, right? He also is the guy who built the first Borg ship.
Yep.
He designed all the ships and stuff on Space Above
like
and Beyond, which is one of my
blown away.
all-time favorite shows that got canceled really early. It's an amazing show. I have like one of the models sitting in my office.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, it's insane.
Put a still right here.
He, I don't, it's like it keeps going. Like
Yeah,
Mission to Mars, Cockpit, like everything this guy's ever done sci-fi wise is epic.
Yeah.
And he was on the show, creative, right? And then we had Horst. I'll let you talk about Alex. He's your.
Well, we brought Alex Funky along, who is he started out as a miniatures DP, so special effects and miniatures. He's one of those people where he's done just about everything. You start looking at his list on IMDb, and you're like, oh, it's that film and that film and that film.
It's like his entire childhood.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
He's most famous for winning Oscars for Lord of the Rings. He did the miniature stuff for Lord of the Rings, for King Kong. And it's funny, just the little connections, because he worked on like Battlestar Galactica, the original series, and we had Kim who worked on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's insane.
Yeah, it's
So that's how we did it, because
Yeah.
essentially we had people that were greater than us that we could learn from them, right? And so we might be able to move quicker in some cases than they do because we're used to the smaller environment, because most of these guys come from big sets. But we took all their knowledge and via osmosis and the Brain Succulator 3000, we just absorbed everything we could just to run with it.
Yeah. You look at the guy's resume and you're just like, oh, I love that, and I love that, and I love that. And the best thing about Alex is he's such a lovely, giving person.
Right.
You know, he's not pretentious. He's not a screamer. He doesn't throw C-stands on set when he doesn't get his way. He is just full of so much old school Hollywood knowledge, and he loves to share it. And that shows up in his work.
Well, that always tells me the sign of a great mentor is someone who doesn't mind sharing. A great artist shares, like a selfish artist, you know, is like, no, you can't
Those are my
trade secrets. It's
ideas.
like,
Yeah.
not really, because then someone's going to get something better. So he's a treat.
So after hearing all that, I mean, what does that make you guys think about your project? I mean, because that's obviously, I mean, like that one person's resume like that is exceptional, but you have a whole team of people with just mind-blowing experiences, Oscars. I mean, how does that make y'all feel?
I geek out like crazy. Like every time we sign someone else, I would lose my shit and just go crazy. I mean, literally, we would geek out over, you know, and like Kim, for example, would come sit in my office and we were sitting there like having a drink, talking about science fiction and building worlds and ideas. I mean, it's crazy.
If somebody could hear my inner dialogue when I'm in these moments, you know, because it's this, be cool, man, be cool, be cool. And, you know, in the inside, I'm like, oh, let's talk about this. Oh,
So inside, you're stay on target.
Yeah,
I can shake them.
Stay on target.
And then
Stay
I'm
on
like,
I'm
target.
just, ah! And then you blow up like this. Ah!
Yeah, that's those moments when I'm talking.
That's a GIF. Fuck.
I like the
talking,
sound effect.
and I'll be like, "Oh, that's really good, Alex. Yeah, I love what you've done there. Yeah." And then you'll just see me go,
Yeah.
that's really good. Yeah. And that's me going, "No, no." Yeah. So it's a treat. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. And people like Alex and David Snyder, and they want to pass on to the next generation of filmmakers. They want to help people. They want to see new amazing films come, and they're happy to share.
They're great.
Yeah.
If you had to describe just your feelings right now about this whole project, Aether? I mean, obviously it's shot, it's done, we're editing it, we're cutting it, blah, blah, blah. What is that?
Oh man, that's tough. That's the hardest question you've asked. I said it the other day on Facebook just because I didn't know what else to say. Like I'm a dad. So when I see my kid get excited about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse coming on or whatever else.
It's great, right?
Right, I know. I'm just so tired of it. Whatever else she's into. Like, oh, so you know the song.
Oh gosh, I have a
Do you do the
3-year-old.
hot dog dance?
I try to.
Hot dog, hot diggity dog.
He tells me to
It's
stop.
They Might Be Giants though.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that's cool. Anyway, so watching her get excited, brings joy to you, right? It's that same sort of hit the mic. It's the same sort of feeling. It brings joy to you. So watching people resonate with the product and get excited about it, my heart is like completely overwhelmed, akin to the same feeling I have with watching Finley get excited. I mean, it's a different, obviously there's a genetic side to it,
right.
but like I am literally, it's full of love. Like I'm just floored and excited and nervous and terrified. So I don't know.
You know the scene where it's the movie.
You just set up your terrible thing. If you have to, the scene.
And then I forgot, and how I learned to love the bomb.
Dr. Strangelove?
Dr. Strangelove, thank you. You know in Dr. Strangelove, when he rides the bomb down, it's that's how I feel. That's how I feel right now.
Peter Sellers.
Yeah. No, that wasn't Peter Sellers.
No,
that
you're
was
right.
Slim
You're
Pickens.
right. Slim Pickens. You're right.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. It's just I'm enthused. I'm excited. I'm scared as hell. I feel this sense of pressure, and it's going.
Right.
It's going whether I'm there or not. So I'm going to ride that thing all the way down, waving my hat in the air, and there'll be some kind of big boom at the end.
Yeah.
I think it's that's the safest way to put that. Is like whether we like it or not, it's just trains are rolling.
Yeah, it's out of our hands now.
I will say, obviously I was been involved. I've seen some of the footage, and it is all inspiring. And again, I'm not kissing your ass. I don't want you to. Please don't think that. But it is really, it's just to see people gravitate like they have. I mean, dude, I was there firsthand at Pensacon in guard gear, and every single person I explained the project to just gravitated toward it. And and I just handed out a card with like a logo that we put on a piece of paper, and people are like, oh yeah, this sounds amazing, and what's so cool and is it's growing. A lot of people just say it's a local thing. It's shot locally here, but it's outgrown that so easily and already. I mean, hell, it's at South by Southwest.
Right.
You mentioned 60-something cons or something earlier, 30-something cons earlier. It's like you said, it's got to be. It's overwhelming. It's like you're riding it, throwing the lasso in the air. It's that type of movement, that much excitement, and you guys honestly are just sitting back at this point and watching this thing just grow.
We are. There's a lot of interaction. I try and communicate with everybody I can and answer. We'll do Facebook posts and answer questions.
Sit down with guys like this.
Yeah, so we'll do whatever. We love to talk about it because we just want to see it get out there and build. And the only way I know to do that is to ask for support, ask for shares, likes, helps, and trust in the people that are taking those and running with it. And we do. We're there for it. And so, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good one.
Well, guys, I don't think that I've got any more that I could possibly ask about Aether. I think we've pretty much driven into all of the nuts and bolts on it, but I do want to say that I feel comfortable saying I speak for everyone. We are excited about this project. It's massive in scale. It's epic. What I have seen has been great. And I can't wait to see the finished product, guys. So Drew, Horst, thank y'all for sitting down with me today. Thank you for talking about Aether. I would love to continue to talk more, but I think we're just going to get to a point where,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Thank you.
But guys, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. Where can they find all the info about Aether right now?
The easiest place right now is Facebook. It's facebook.com/EtherMovie.
Awesome.
If you just type Aether in the search bar, you will get
a lot
us.
of things. I've made that mistake a couple
Yeah.
of times.
Yeah. But we're there if you do Aether movie, and then we'll have a website launching soon that has all kinds of cool stuff on it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am JD, and we are Skyborn.